With the announcements made yesterday by the Saskatchewan government, the City of Lloydminster reacted to the new regulations. One of the new public health orders starting today is that masks are required in all indoor spaces across Saskatchewan, including the City of Lloydminster.
We are busy at the city trying to identify what these changes mean, not only for our organization and our municipal facilities, but also for our businesses and community as a whole. We are looking at everything that is coming out, including the mask mandate that was implemented today. We'll be releasing further information through the day and weekend and into next week.
On October 1st, proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test will be required for certain establishments. Newton spoke on how this will be enforced around the city.
Each business is going to have different ways that they want to deal with compliance within their businesses or activities. And the way a doctor's office may be different than how a retail business deals with it. Really, we have to be patient with each other as we all navigate these current challenges that we're facing and really be kind to each other and trying to get through the next couple months.
The City of Lloydminster will release more information as it becomes available. The 41st annual Terry Fox Run returns to Bud Miller Park this Sunday. This year's event will be held virtually due to COVID precautions. Like last year, people will have the option to do the run however and wherever they want.
We're inviting people to come out. The slogan is "One Day, Your Way," which is whatever way you want to go do this. Run, jog, walk, whatever you want.
While the event will be primarily held virtually, organizers will be set up at Bud Miller Park from 9 a.m. till noon to accept donations and to give stickers and t-shirts to participants. For more information on the event, check out the Terry Fox Run Lloydminster Facebook page.
The foundation's come up with a QR code that you can scan, and we put them on all our signs, and it takes you to a donation page, and then you can either register a team or an individual, or just make a straight donation to the Terry Fox Run.
Lloydminster and Districts Co-op is giving local kids a reason to feel good next week. Our Tate Craft has more about the upcoming fundraiser.
As Tuesday, September 21st is set to mark the 5-year anniversary of Co-op's Fuel Good Day fundraiser, Vice President of Operations Chase Scarf from the Lloyd Co-op has joined me to talk about it. Thanks so much for being here, Chase.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So for people who might not be familiar with the fundraiser, what is Fuel Good Day? How does it work?
So Feel Good Day is 5 cents from every liter sold on Tuesday, September 21st will be donated to local school breakfast programs. So that's at all 4 of our Co-op gas bar locations.
Then I also wanted to ask about the history behind the fundraiser and also why it's important to you and the Lloyd Co-op to support these school breakfast programs.
Well, the school breakfast programs, I mean, it's a very essential service to our community. There are a lot of families that depend on that. I mean, feeding families, that's at the heart of what we do, so we know how important that is. It's important for those families that don't get a chance to have a breakfast in the morning that they can go, that's all covered, they can focus on learning and getting the most out of their school day.
And what about the fundraiser's success over the last few years then? What kind of impact have you guys made?
Well, over the last 4 years, we've raised over $32,000, and that's all been invested right into local families. Last year, we raised over $7,000 at the pump. I'm not sure how many breakfasts that translates to, but as you can imagine, it feeds a lot of hungry families.
Then you guys are also serving some food as a part of your efforts. What kind of snacks are you going to be offering?
Yeah, so this year we have a limited edition Feel Good Day donut. So 50 cents from every unit sold will be added onto our breakfast program donation. We're also doing 50 cents from any soft serve sold on the same day will be donated to breakfast programs.
And this fundraiser is taking place all across Lloydminster at all 4 of your locations. Could you just kind of remind people of where they're at?
Yeah, so we have 4 locations, as you mentioned, one on each direction coming in. So our new North Stop location on Highway 17 North, Iron Wells Co-op on Highway 16 East, Hampton Square Co-op on Highway 16 West, and of course 18th Street on Highway 17 South.
Then, just before we close, I know you wanted to leave the people of Lloydminster and Lloydminster's co-ops with some words. So, the floor is yours.
Well, I just wanted to, of course, thank our gas bar team for their dedication and support. I mean, of course, this can't happen without them. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of extra traffic on site that day. And also like to thank the community for the support. I mean, over the past 4 years, Lloydminster's been always comes out to support these breakfast programs, and we're just looking forward to continuing that this year.
Thanks so much for doing this, Chase.
Now Shelby Clark will take a look at your Friday weather. Thanks so much, Jazz. And now taking a first look at your weather forecast for here in the border city, we are sitting at 15 degrees with a mix of some sun and clouds. We are seeing a more cloudier day today, but it is a bit warmer than what we were experiencing yesterday, and there is still some strong winds coming from the south there. And tomorrow we'll be warming up, but you'll be seeing it later in my forecast here. And now as we take a look at temperatures across the region, most places are ranging from around 15 to 17 degrees. Lac La Biche and Bonnyville and St. Paul are at 14 degrees. Cold Lake's a bit cooler there at that 13-degree mark. Vermilion's at 15, while Wainwright and Provost are at 16 degrees. Now over on the Saskatchewan side here, Island Cross is a bit cooler at 12 degrees. Green Lake, Meadow Lake, and Pearson are seeing that 13-degree mark, as well as in St. Walburg. Maidstone is at 15, and Macklin and North Battleford are 18 and 16 degrees. But speaking of North Battleford, overnight they will be going down to a low of 8 degrees with a little bit more cloudier skies. And tomorrow they'll actually be warming up the most there to a high of 27 tomorrow with a mix of some sun and cloud there. And as we take a look at Cold Lake overnight, they're a bit cooler than what North Battleford is seeing, with a low of 4 degrees tonight with a lot more cloudier skies. And tomorrow they'll be picking it up to a high of 19 degrees with a little bit more sun peeking behind those clouds. And so we're having some technical difficulties here, but for Cold Lake they will be cooling down just a couple more degrees lower there, and hopefully we will be able to continue to look at the border cities overnight. There we go, perfect. Back to it. Overnight tonight here in the border city, we'll be going down to a low of 7 degrees with a little bit more cloudier skies as well. And tomorrow we'll actually be warming up a little bit there to a high of 24. So make sure you're going out there and experiencing that nice weather while we can, because it will be cooling down just a bit at the end of the weekend. Now as we go over to the 3-day forecast for here in the border city, as I was saying, we'll be seeing a high of 23 tomorrow with a low of 7 degrees with a mix of some sun and cloud. And Sunday we will cool down just a couple degrees there to a high of 18 with a little bit more sun. But Monday we will be starting off a bit warmer on Monday with a high of 17 and a low of 4 degrees. That's the first look at your weather forecast. We'll have more news coming up after the break. Welcome back. The federal election is right around the corner, and we sat down with local candidates to ask them about their agricultural platforms. Jillian Code has their answers.
Today on Primetime Local News is the last of a 3-part series discussing agricultural related topics with local federal election candidates. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with the remaining candidates from the Battleford's Lloydminster riding. We have Eric Hansen, who is with the NDP. We also have Larry Ingram, who is the Liberal candidate. First question I will be asking these candidates is about exports. So over the past year, during the pandemic, most industries in Canada and Saskatchewan as well saw a sharp decrease in exports. The agricultural industry, on the other hand, saw a sharp rise. They were one of the only industries. My question to these candidates is, how will you and your party ensure that the agricultural industry still plays a really key role in post-pandemic economic growth?
The capabilities are there, and if my job, if I was to be elected, would be to have discussions with all of these parties and try to come to some sort of consensus or compromise to make sure that we're all on the same page and going forward, that we can keep the family farms alive and keep producing enough food for our country and enough to spread around the world, because there's so much need around the world, and we just don't have the process or the will, I think, sometimes to address it in the proper way. It's always boils down to dollars and cents, and if we could we have to work on some way economically to address all those issues and make it fair for everyone.
Our country is leading the way in growth in selling grains to other countries, and products such as the beef and the pork industry are really benefiting from programs and sales from the federal government. We've been working consistently with China to make it so that we can sell our canola and our pork into China. We've been working with Turkey and other countries to sell our peas and our beans. And I think if we continue on this track, pushing forward, everybody will do all right.
The next question is very open-ended. It is, what do you believe is the most pressing issue in the agricultural and agri-food industry? And what do you and your party propose to solve this issue?
The biggest problem is the environmental catastrophe that we're in and we're heading deeper into because of the lack of action to mitigate it. So how do we deal with that? We start dealing with it. I mean, it's just that simple. All we have to do is have the leadership in government, but unfortunately, we don't have enough of that yet. And it's because I don't think the people that are running government right now, I think they're under pressure from outside of government to keep the status quo. And we just can't stay there. I'm just stating a fact. We can't stay in the status quo. We have to adapt. And if we don't adapt, we're all going to suffer. So yeah, the solution is let's address the climate change.
I believe that the most pressing issue in the agriculture industry right now is the transportation of goods. I think that is probably one of the hardest hit parts of our industry, and I hope that the government can continue working with the transportation groups to make it better for the industry. We have a strong competition of the rail lines, and in time it would be really nice if we had more ability to get more grain to the port.
Interviews with the other Battleford Lloydminster candidates, as well as the Lakeland candidates, are posted online on our social media pages, as well as our YouTube channel.
Now we'll take a look at your egg prices. Schedule, standings, seasons. These are three words Lakeland College athletics haven't heard for nearly 2 years. That will all change as the ACAC kicks off the regular season this weekend. Evan Kenny has more.
Just about 2 years off has given Lakeland Rustler teams plenty of time to prepare for the 2021 season. Two sports are set to kick off the fall season this weekend: men's and women's soccer, and for the first time in school history, women's hockey.
And to have it here and happening, it's very exciting.
The Rustlers hockey team will play this season in the Alberta Junior Female Hockey League before moving to the ACAC for the 2022 season. They hit the road for an exhibition game this weekend.
I think that we will be competitive. We haven't seen any of the other teams or played them before this weekend. Of course, we're just excited to be back on the ice playing, but it's also going to be very exciting to be playing a team from the league and to get a sense of where we fit, because the Sherwood Park team is one of the stronger teams in the league.
Grand Prairie Regional College will come to town for a soccer game on Saturday, followed by Portage College on Sunday. Since 2017, the men's team has doubled their win total year over year. In 2019, the men beat Grand Prairie twice. The women have 11 new players on their roster. Head coach Laith Matlick expects this to be one of the most competitive teams in the program's history.
And I'm excited for the season because we did have hard training days, and we did have a ton of exhibition games. We had 5, so again, more than the past, and I think it's really prepared us proper for the season.
With the latest restrictions in Alberta and Saskatchewan, Al Rogan, athletic director for the college, says games are still a go unless opposing teams cancel. Evan Kenny, Primetime Local Sports.
Now Shelby Clark will let us know about that weather coming up for those soccer games.
Thanks so much, Jasmine. Now taking another look at your weather forecast for the border city. We're going to start off with taking a look at central temperatures of Alberta and Saskatchewan there. And yes, it does seem like there is going to be some nice weather on Saturday, especially for those games. Now starting off, Rocky Mountain House is at 15 degrees. Edson and Jasper a bit cooler. They're at 12 degrees, while Whitecourt is at 11. Athabasca is at 15, and Red Deer and Edmonton are at 13 and 17 degrees. Now over on the Saskatchewan side here, Meadow Lake and Prince Albert and Melfort are at that 13-degree mark, while North Battleford and Saskatoon are sitting at 16 degrees. But now as we move into our northern region of the provinces here, a lot cooler temperatures here, while Uranium City and Stony Rapids are at 10 and 9 degrees. Wollaston Lake is the coolest at 7. South End and Flin Flon are at 11 and 12, and La Ronge, Loche, and Buffalo Narrows are at 12 and 14 degrees. Over on this end, Slave Lake and Grand Prairie are sitting at 12 degrees as well as in Fort Chipewyan. High level is at 11 degrees. Peace River and Fort McMurray are at 13 and 14. And now as we take a look at our southern region, a lot warmer temperatures here, with Lethbridge at 23 degrees and Medicine Hat at 20. Calgary and Coronation are at 18 and 17, but Banff is still at that cooler mark at 11 degrees. Yorkton is seeing 15, Kindersley and Swift Current are at 19 and 20 degrees, Regina and Moose Jaw are at 18 and 20 degrees, and Estevan is at 19 degrees. So a little bit warmer temperatures over on this end here. But now as we take a look back across the region at temperatures overnight, most places will be seeing a moderately kind of warm temperatures here, while Pearson and Meadow Lake and Bonnyville will be seeing the coolest there with a low of 3 degrees overnight. Isla Crosse, Paradise Hill, Murnum will be seeing a low of 6 degrees, while the rest of Unity, Wainwright, and Provost will be seeing warmest of around 8 and 9 degrees. But most will be seeing around cloudier skies and not seeing any chances of some showers overnight tonight. And now as we move into temperatures tomorrow across the region, we will be warming up quite a bit across the region here, while up in Isla Crosse and Lac La Biche will be still a little bit cooler, around 16, 17 degrees. Most will be around that low 20-degree mark. And now taking a look at our 7-day forecast for here in the border city. Saturday, as I was saying, is a bit warmer there with a high of 23 with a mix of some sun and cloud. Sunday will cool down just quite a little bit there at 18 degrees and a low of 5 degrees. But we will be seeing a little bit more sun on Sunday to end off the weekend. Going into next week, Monday will be starting off with a high of 17 on Monday with a little bit more sun peeking behind those clouds. Tuesday we'll be seeing a warmer temperature there with a high of 21. And Wednesday we'll be seeing our warmest day there with a high of 22 on Wednesday. So moderately better temperatures next week that we'll be seeing compared to what we've been seeing earlier this week. And Thursday and Friday we'll be seeing a high of 15 on Thursday and a high of 17 on Friday. But overall we will be seeing around a mix of some sun and cloud throughout next week. That is a second look at your weather forecast. We'll have more news coming up after the break.
I'm joined today on Primetime Local News by Atlanta Jane. Atlanta is an artist from Good Soil, Saskatchewan, musician. Your music is just amazing, Atlanta. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Well, I'd like to start out a little bit by talking about some of your history. How long have you been in the music business, and how did you get started?
So I actually started my music career in musical theater. I was about 13, and yeah, ever since then I found a love for singing, and then eventually that grew into playing guitar, a little bit of piano, and then yeah, eventually writing my own songs and doing some performing.
Now, have you basically performed in Saskatchewan, or have you been outside of the province performing as well?
Yeah, most of my performances have been in Saskatchewan. There has been a few performances in Alberta, like the Cold Lake area. So yeah.
Now, I know you're located in Good Soil, which is probably not the mecca for recording artists, but with technology today, is it easier for you to do a lot of things right from Good Soil, or have you had to travel to some of the bigger cities to do some of the recordings?
Yeah, so Good Soil is a very small town, population about 600 people. So there's not a lot of music opportunities there. So yeah, I've had to travel upwards of 4-5 hours to further my music career, but it's all worth it to me because it's just something I love and enjoy very much.
Now, the pandemic has been hard on musicians because of the fact you guys can't get out and perform. You know, a lot of stuff has had to be online. So what have you been doing through the pandemic to kind of keep yourself going and keep your music going?
Yeah, so not performing has been really challenging. What I've been doing to kind of keep my music career going is I started writing my own music. I wrote my first song about 2 years ago, and during the pandemic, obviously I had a lot more free time. So I've been, working on my skills and working on new songs. So yeah, that's been really awesome. And I still am posting like videos to my social media, and that's been great as well.
Now, I see that you have released a single, I guess it was the end of August. Tell me about that single. And is that one that you have written and you produced and everything on your own, or who else was involved with that?
Yeah, so I wrote that song early this year about a difficult breakup, but overcoming the breakup and getting to a really happy place again. And yes, I wrote that song totally on my own, although I did have help from Novita Studios in Saskatoon. They were the ones who produced it and put all the music to the song in general. I just wrote the lyrics.
Well, that's quite an accomplishment. You say just wrote the lyrics, but I don't know a lot of people who can write their own music. So Atlanta, what's the plans for the future now? I know the restrictions keep changing, so it doesn't look good for a lot of performances heading into the future. But what are your plans here, at least over the next couple of months?
Yeah, so like I said, I've been writing new music. I want to continue writing songs. I love to write about mental health, and I'm a social worker. Mental health is really huge and it's really dear to my heart. So I'd love to continue writing songs to help others and inspire them. And I'd also like to get them recorded as well in the near future.
So Atlanta, if anybody is looking to reach out to you just to chat or to hear some of your songs, what is the best way to find you?
So you can find me on Facebook at Atlanta Jane or on Instagram at atlanta.jane_music.
Well, Atlanta, it has been a pleasure to speak with you today, and we wish you lots of luck in the future. And please keep in touch because we'd like to chat with you again and see how things are going in your career.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And as a new artist, it's hard to get out there, so I really do appreciate this opportunity.
Coming up on Sunday is the virtual Terry Fox Run. One day your way, an opportunity to try like Terry. Register now at terryfox.org. Then you can choose where you do your run. Maybe it'll be at Bud Miller Park, maybe it'll be up at the lake, and when you do your run. And you can head out together as a family. You can walk, you can go for a bike, but you can get registered now and raise funds to support research to find cures for cancer. Register at terryfox.org and keep an eye on the Terry Fox Run Lloydminster Facebook page for more details on how to get a participation sticker and also how to get a t-shirt. You have an opportunity to support the Lloydminster Kinsmen and the great work they do in the community and take in some great live music with the Harvest Hoedown Cabaret. Get your ticket now for this party that's coming up on Saturday, October the 2nd, and you'll enjoy fantastic live music from the Johnner Brothers, the Johnner Boys, and Bud's Busted 9 Irons. Plus, there's going to be a 50-50, door prizes, and so much more throughout the evening. You can get a ticket from any member of the Kinsmen Club. Get that ticket now for a great event coming up October 2nd. And coming up tomorrow out at the Lloydminster Exhibition Grounds, they're hosting their Rare and Exotic Sale. It's free for you to attend the sale, and you will find all the details at lloydexh.com. Well, whatever you choose to do this weekend, we hope you stay safe and stay healthy.
What's Happening is brought to you by Northern Factory Workwear, Circle Drive East, Saskatoon, and Highway 17 South, Lloydminster.
Joining us today for this week's entertainment panel is the delightful Abby St. John. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Shelby.
So starting off, a new thriller coming in 2022 starring Florence Pugh and actually Harry Styles, which is very interesting since the director is Olivia Wilde, called Don't Worry Darling, will be coming out next year. And it's going to be interesting seeing just what this movie is going to be about and how Florence Pugh has gotten so many more fans ever since she starred in Black Widow especially, and like Little Women and Midsommar, I think is how it's pronounced. But I'm excited to see what this one's all about.
Yeah, so like you said, it stars Florence Pugh and Harry Styles. It also stars Olivia Wilde, Chris Pine, Gemma Chan, Nick Kroll, and Kiki Lane. Olivia Wilde is directing it, and it's a psychological thriller based on a 1950s housewife living with her husband in a utopian experimental community. She begins to worry that his glamorous company may be hiding disturbing secrets. Now, Florence Pugh will be playing the housewife, and Harry Styles will be playing her husband. And it's kind of like a horror version of The Truman Show in a way. She's discovering that things aren't as perfect as they may seem, and it's definitely that psychological thriller horror type of movie, just like how she played in Midsommar. That is also another psychological thriller, and she was fantastic in it. So I think Florence Pugh is the perfect choice to play the lead in this type of film. And there's not a whole lot else that is known about it, and we don't have much other than a quick little teaser, but it does give that disturbing feeling if you watch it. The music, how they're zooming in on Florence Pugh's character, it's going to be very creepy, it's going to be very horrific, so I'm very excited for it. However, we won't be getting it until September 23rd of next year, so it's a bit of a wait, but by then we'll have a lot more information on what we can really expect from it, but definitely expect it to be psychological and a little bit creepy.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to be able to see it too, especially with Florence Pugh and Harry Styles seem to have some little hot and heavy scenes in there, but I think it's going to be interesting to see how well they're able to act together, and for Harry Styles' girlfriend to be directing this film. And another excitement in the film industry is Knives Out 2 has finished wrapping up filming, and a lot of fans for this one, because if you've seen the first one, every time you rewatch it, there's always a little clue or something else you've missed from the first time you've watched it, and it's actually got a whole new cast for the second one. It's got Catherine Hahn, Dave Bautista, Janelle Monáe, so I'm excited to see what's all involved in this one as well.
Yeah, so director Rian Johnson announced on Twitter that Knives Out 2 has wrapped filming. And it is a sequel to Knives Out 1. However, it is a standalone sequel, so you don't necessarily have to see the first one to understand the second. Other than Daniel Craig's character, Benoit Blanc, he is going to be returning. Like you said, huge cast list: Dave Bautista, Edward Norton, Catherine Hahn, Leslie Odom Jr., Kate Hudson, Madeline Klein, Jessica Henwick, and Ethan Hawke are all going to be starring in this film. And director Rian Johnson has stated it never really been interested in doing sequels, but the idea of doing more of these with Daniel as his character is not sequels. He said in 2019, it's just what Agatha Christie did. It's just coming up with a whole new mystery, a whole new location, all new cast, whole new mechanics of the appeal of a mystery, and everything it be a blast. So it is going to have a different storyline, different mystery, like we said, new cast, but the return of Daniel Craig's character.
I'm very excited as well, because if this one turns out to be as good as the first one, then they can have quite a series if they're able to continue this Knives Out franchise there, the movies, and seeing how they can do a different feel in each one is going to be exciting to see. And now moving on from film to TV series, the Hawkeye series trailer has dropped. This one is going to be very interesting, seeing how it is around Christmas time, and a lot of people love the holiday season, so it's going to be interesting to see as well. After watching Avengers and seeing with Hawkeye, you know, you don't really get to see as much background for him as much, and a lot of people weren't always a fan of him as an Avenger, but I'm really excited to see how it's going to be with him and his family in this series, of just him after Endgame and everything, and him almost looks like he's going to be mentoring another girl when it comes to being Hawkeye himself. So I'm excited to see what Hawkeye can bring to the table, and how people are going to be so excited to see more of an insight of what his life is really all about.
Yeah, so like you said, it takes place at Christmas, and if you remember from Endgame, during the snap, he becomes this kind of assassin persona, and he goes after those in the underworld, in the underground crime world. So that all comes back to him. His past is kind of coming back to haunt him a little bit, and the persona has come back, and he discovers that it is Kate Bishop, who's played by Haley Steinfeld. And she's an excellent archer, and she's a huge Hawkeye fan. So it's going to be interesting to see their kind of dynamic. He doesn't really like the attention, as we've seen in the past. He doesn't really understand why she has this huge obsession over him. But like you said, it seems like he's going to be kind of a mentor for her. And they're teaming up, and it seems like there's going to be a lot of action. And it has a bit of a comedic aspect to it. Now, it's also seen that Florence Pugh's Yelena Belova might be making an appearance. If you've seen the end of Black Widow, you'll know that she wants to go after him for the part he played in Natasha's death. So I'm excited to see how that kind of ties into the series, and you know, if there's going to be more villains introduced, more characters. It's going to be interesting, and I'm very, very excited for this series. Like I said, lots of action, and it kind of has a similar feel to Falcon and Winter Soldier, just in the sense that it's very action-packed as well, and there is going to be a little bit more of a comedic aspect to it, and it will be on Disney Plus November 24th. So hopefully by then we'll get maybe one more trailer will drop, so we get a little bit more insight into what we can expect. But definitely expect a lot of action and an interesting dynamic between Kate Bishop and Clint Barton.
I'm excited as well. I've always been a fan myself of Hawkeye. Even when people don't think he's as good as an Avenger, I've always loved him. I thought he had some good jokes there, and I'm excited to see that being brought out in this new series. But that's all the time we have for this week's entertainment panel. Once again, thank you so much for joining us today, Abby.
Thank you.
Now taking a final look at your 7-day forecast. As we go through the night into Saturday to start off the weekend, we'll be starting off a bit warmer there on Saturday with a high of 23 and a mix of some sun and cloud. Sunday we'll see 18 to end off that weekend, a little bit cooler, but we'll see a lot more sun. And then Monday starting off next week, it'll be 17 degrees with a little bit more sun peeking behind those clouds. And throughout the week, Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll see warmer days with a high of 21 on Tuesday and a high of 22 on Wednesday, and cool down just a bit there to 15 and 17 on Thursday and Friday.
Thank you for joining us on Primetime Local News, and have a great weekend.